everybody. Welcome to the Hot Pole Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Steele, and joining me, as usual, is Liam Wright. Hello.
Hello.
I think I'll turn myself down a little so that you're the right level. And it's good to see everybody. Black Friday is now over, and you have a rat. Oh, you've had a haircut. Oh, congratulations. And it's that's
I now no longer have stupidly long hair. That is my donation to charity, which I need to put in an envelope and post out.
That's a weird thing to put in the post, but sure.
That's what you've got to do, apparently. If you go on like the cancer charities, it just says, cut your hair up, put it in 2 bubbles, put it in an envelope, and send it to this address.
So there's just an address that gets sacks of hair delivered every day.
How weird!
It's almost
you don't
like
have
that.
to say, you don't like say who you are or what. It's just send hair to this address.
What's in this parcel? Hair.
So strange.
Yeah.
They probably just empty like the envelope sacks just like into a vat of bleach and don't even open it. Is that the hair delivery in the vat?
Just barbicide. Just gallons of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Oh boy. I was just asking Liam off camera, how's your week been? He's like, I didn't know what day it was. Like, me too. I've been so busy recently. Black Friday apparently happened, and so did Cyber Monday, and those were things, and people bought stuff. And I think some people bought our Pro Mix Academy courses, so thank you. If you didn't, it's still on a kind of a holdover sale at the moment, where it's $99 for the course and all the audio essentials stuff. Ooh. And that's hoppole.co/mega. Still ongoing right now.
Did you say hoppole.co/mega?
.co/mega. Yes, because we have our own.
What was that again?
It was hoppole.co/mega.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I heard you that time.
We have our own link shortener, so yes, that's a thing. And yeah, that goes straight through to the Pro Mix Academy people who do things with stuff and give you our course. So, happy days. Yes, I've been doing all sorts this week. Of course, I didn't buy any plugins or anything on Black Friday because the nature of what I do for a living, the companies are like, review this, please. But I did buy some C-word presents. Ugh, don't like the C-word. Christmas.
See, I'm thinking like see you next Tuesday.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly acceptable in my book. It's the other one that isn't.
Oh no, it's full on Christmas in this house already.
Well, wasn't it? It was Christmas in your house on October 31st.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
As soon as you go past Halloween, it's Christmas in this house. But the tree's up.
Yeah.
So,
pretty sure Ash goes around your house in all like black and orange decorations for Halloween. She just spray paints them white and red, and then
yeah. Well, some of the stuff like she's got like quite a lot of Night Before Christmas stuff, so that can stay up. She's got like a big like jack-o'-lantern in the living room, which is pretty cool. So yeah, she is all about the Christmas.
But it must come down on Christmas Day because it is no longer the night before Christmas.
Oh no, I think we had Christmas stuff up until March last year.
No, the night before Christmas stuff has to come down when it's not the night before Christmas. But everything else, yeah. Yeah, your house is not Christmas from April to October.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's 2 seasons, summer and Christmas.
I mean, we had the Christmas tree up in the bedroom all year.
Wow.
It's just nice. I like the twinkly lights. What can I say?
Oh, Marty says for the Dutch it starts after Sinterklaas on 5th of December. That's cool. Yeah, we've just put our tree up. I say that. Mickey's put our tree up. It's the first year I think we've had a proper Christmas tree. We're like a little nuclear family now. Weird. But yeah, it's got lights on. There's a picture of Ivy having thrown tinsel on it and then rapidly being rearranged later. But yeah, that was pretty cool. So yeah, that, and then just running around filming. I've been doing more filming with John Brown, as you do. Nearly broke my back at the gym on Monday, but that's just because I'm stupid. But I'm okay. And Warren Hewitt has kind of broken his arm. That was fun.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so that was his big video this week, is that he managed to trip over the dog and go arm first onto a hard floor, which is smooth.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think it's not actually broken. I think it's just badly. Like, I think he can't do anything with it for 6 to 8 weeks, which is. I'm not sure if that's broken arm territory or if that's just below. But yes, you may see more of me on the Pro Mix Academy and Produce Like a Pro channels over the next couple of months, because Warren's taking a slight backseat because he can't like play guitar or anything. So,
Right.
yes, that'll be interesting. That's keeping me out of trouble. And I now have a long list of videos that I'm going to be filming in the studio tomorrow. So that's good. I've got lots of videos that are like half finished that I need to tie little bows up and edit them all. But that's good because it means we've got content for the rest of the year.
Very nice.
Because
Very
the rest of the year is only 4 weeks.
yeah. Crazy.
Absolutely, that has gone far too quick. How is everybody in chat, by the way? Are you all doing well? Everybody viewing? Let us know in the comments, because we are always grateful to hear from you all. And in the meantime, despite the fact that Black Friday and all that kind of stuff usually just eclipses the news, some things have happened. So without further ado, let's look at the news.
Ooh,
The news. So, we'll start with our headline, of course. Winamp returns as a music player and a social network for artists.
Okay.
So, MySpace?
Right.
Yeah. So, for anyone who doesn't remember Winamp, it was the media player in the early 2000s.
Skins.
Yeah, you could make it look like anything. It had a really cool like visualizer that did funky screen stuff and that. And it was really, really good. And the guys who made it sold it to AOL for many, many, many millions. And they went on to make this little thing called Reaper, which I use a lot. And is kind of the whole reason why I'm here. So, Winamp in a strange way.
If I knew that, I completely forgot that.
Yeah, Justin Frankel made Winamp and that now makes Reaper. Along with a team, of course. But, yeah. Yeah, where Winamp was sold for a large amount of money. So, there you go. But yeah, back in the day, it was way better than Windows Media Player and pretty much all of the other alternatives. Yeah. So, yeah, everybody that I know used Winamp a lot. I used it heavily. And yeah, apparently whoever owns it now, there you go. That's what it looked like in its default skin. With every single window open. Usually you'd only see like this bit on the left, but if you snapped it open, you could have a full library of albums, especially when hard drives got big enough that you could have several albums. It was
and obviously this is sort of peak Napster LimeWire sort of era.
Yeah.
But especially Napster, before sort of downloading music was actually illegal. It was in that grey area because it was such a brand new thing.
Yeah.
That's when Winamp really became, and then essentially, as soon as Napster got shut down, it was kind of the death knell for Winamp and everything else like it, wasn't it?
Yeah, really was. But yeah, that was something that we used a lot. And yeah, so let's have a look. The new owners are doing a thing reimagined to connect you to the music and artists you love. So Spotify or SoundCloud or Bandcamp maybe. It's not much of a news article, unfortunately. But yeah, the last official release of Winamp was 5.6, which was published in 2013. There was a beta leak of 5.8 in 2018, but that's it until now. Apparently, you can go and register as a beta tester with a link that's on the gearnews.com website. So yeah, there's still an official forum. Oh yeah, the official forum still lives. Wow. That looks like the kind of forum from 2008. Yeah. Pretty sure I was on there a few times. But yes, it looks like with this new logo and possibly new player, that could be a thing that will happen and then probably die on the vine because we already have these services.
Yeah,
But
I don't really get what it is.
no.
Like, yeah, it's a name that no one that really matters remembers. In all honesty, like it's people in their 30s and above will remember Winamp. Like, well, probably actually people in their 30s into early 40s. It's quite a small subset of people that are going to remember Winamp.
Yeah, at this point in terms of it's people are asking in chat if you can turn your volume up a bit, please, my man.
Me?
You.
Is that louder?
That is louder. Thank you.
Okay,
Lovely.
That's good.
There we go. Yes. Thank you, everybody in chat. It does help with feedback like that. Yes. Cheers. Yes. Oh dear. Apparently Nick's rather poorly. Get well soon, Nick. But Chris is looking after her, so there you go.
That's good.
But yeah. All right. Let's move on. Austrian Audio are just pumping out new headphones recently. So they've now got the Hi X60. So I've got the X55s, which are the ones that are like NS10s for your head. There is a Hi X65, which is the open back, like mixing-ish version, apparently, for like more open, transparent kind of mixing. Kind of like these, the good old Sennheiser 650s. But they've now made a closed back version of the 65s, which I'm kind of struggling to find why, because the 55 was supposed to be the flagship, but apparently this has really, really good passively blocking noise from the outside.
Right.
So they're suggesting that maybe you could use these if you're like a front of house engineer, or if you're working somewhere that's really loud where you need to be able to work properly like a DJ or something like that. So yeah, with these really big 44mm high excursion drivers. These are the kind of things that clamp to your head, and then if the doorbell goes, tough. You are not hearing it. Yeah, I have enough trouble hearing the doorbell going over these open back headphones, let alone things that schlump to your head and block out everything.
I was watching, I think it was a fairly old Linus Tech Tips video today on, what were they called? I forget the name of the headphones now, but they're basically headphones that were essentially just like speakers that you strap to your head.
Oh.
And it actually made him cry listening to it.
I remember those. They weren't the Sennheiser Orpheus.
No.
Because those were 50 grand headphones, but those were just
Abyss
stupid.
Dianas.
I wouldn't mind betting they sold a few of those off that video.
Yeah, from 2000. Well, I'm not too sure because the setup that he was listening to it through with the power amp and all the different bits was $34,000.
Yeah, there are people out there who have that kind of money to just chuck around, though. So yeah, like I was saying, the Sennheiser Orpheus headphones, which are like the ultra grade version of these.
They're like the 54 grand, aren't they?
Yeah, they come with a full valve headphone preamp and crazy talk. But yeah, if you want that, there you go. They are €349 for these. Apparently they're good for mixing, but also good for when you need lots of noise in a lots of noise place. So there you go. Could be good for drummers, actually. A lot of drummers in the studio struggle with being able to hear what's going on their headphones above them smashing the living crap out of a kit. So yeah, could be an option. Moving on. SSL have made another plugin, the Fusion HF Compression. Compressionnessor. I can make words. So yeah, SSL's Fusion analog processor, which they sell for many thousands of dollars, they are basically parting it out as plugins and going, hey, this is a thing. If you're top end, if you want it to be really bright on a mix, but you don't want it hurting you, you use this thing and it kind of smooths it out. A bit like Soothe or Baby Audio's Smooth Operator. So kind of like that was in hardware what they were in software. They're now trying to do in software.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
It's got a wet, dry mix, of course, and it looks fairly simple. It's just how much do you want? Where do you want it to start cutting the horribleness?
Mm-hmm.
And you can get it. It's €139 at launch, which I'm sure there'll be a sale somewhere down the line. I might grab it if it's less expensive, but
Mm-hmm.
it's currently an introductory price of €120, down from €150. Don't know why Tom and have got it at a premium, but I suppose that's what happens when you buy things from a third party.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. That's the thing. Yes, you can get that now if you like the idea of taking all the top end off stuff and not just doing it with an EQ. Now, Waves Audio, who are not Waves, I say that every time. Waves Audio are not the company Waves, and I think it's a really poor company name choice. But there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it? No, it is Waves. I'm being stupid. It's Waves Factory that are not Waves.
Right.
Right. So this is the confusion, you see. This is Waves as in waves.com Waves. I've just noticed this little icon in the corner, which gives it away that it's Waves and not Waves Factory. Because I keep there's someone else audio. There's a lot of something audio companies, and it's so confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. But yeah. They've got their Retro-Fi plugin that has just come out, so you can make stuff sound like it's on an old broken cassette,
Right.
or anything subtle or really quite mangled.
Mm-hmm.
There's a kind of distortion that goes from 50s to the 80s, squashes things down. You can there's an echo and a reverb in there as well, which I'm assuming sound like a cheap karaoke machine. But there's mechanics. So there's wow and flutter to make it wobble and all over the show.
Oh.
The lo-fi space, which is like the cut down version of that, was a Black Friday freebie, or you can get this now. I think its regular price is $199, but nobody's ever going to pay that. It's on an introductory sale of $29.
That's a big discount.
That is a big discount. But yeah, like they were said, they're saying this in the article as well. They'll be genuinely surprised if the plugin ever reaches its regular price, because that seems to be Wave's business model now. Is they put things on sale for about 3 seconds at a ludicrous price, and then they go, oh, but you can have it way cheaper, so buy it now because now's the only time it'll ever be cheap, apart from Black Friday and Christmas and the summer sale and the winter sale and the April sale and. Yeah, great. Okay. So there you go. Cool. Moving on. Slate Digital have just announced a new plugin, which surprised me a little bit. In Ableton, there is a preset that you can get for the multiband compressor called OTT. And it's become kind of infamous in the dance music production community. And so the Slate guys have gone, this is really cool, but let's turn it into a full-featured plugin. So instead of OTT, this is MOTT. And
right.
so there's quick buttons for making things hit harder in your mix, basically. A few people have apparently tried it in rock and metal mixes, and it can work quite effectively. But it's a 3-band multi-band compressor that's got all your independent controls. It's massively expanded from the preset that was in Ableton. And if you already use the Slate All Access Pass like I do, then you just get this, which is great.
That is great.
Yeah. So there you go. You can really kind of steamroll things like vocals or a part in the mix down so it stays in place, which can be good or bad depending on what you need to do with it. As anything with anything like this, I would always say go gently if you don't know exactly what it is that you want, but you might find that you get some magic in there. So there you go. Yeah, could be very cool. $149 if you want to buy it separately. I still think people who buy Slate stuff separately are crazy people, but you never know. But yeah, there's also a subscription bundle offer right now where for the first 6 months it's $10 a month. So for the entire first year, you're paying as much as this one plugin and you get everything.
Well,
So yeah,
okay. Yeah. Why would you not just do that?
exactly. So there you go. Moving on. Biffy Clyro's Simon Neil has a new pedal, and I saw the That Pedal Show version of the first version of this, the Boom Blast pedal. And it's really cool because it sounds massive and doesn't just destroy your sound.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember rightly, it's got 2 different distortions, or like a distortion and a boost inside it. And yeah, so the controls are labelled rather unhelpfully. But it's for guitarists, so if you associate what each control does with the sound, then hey, that's probably going to work fine. On the boom side, which is the drive, it's got stink, jaggy, and bang. And on the blast, which is the fuzz side of the pedal, you've got syrup and stress.
Okay.
But yeah, having heard Simon Neil himself demoing the first version, it sounded fantastic. So yeah, if you're a Biffy fan, I mean, get this quick before they sell out, because they're gonna sell out fast. These are actually made by Simon from Biffy Clyro's Guitar Tech. That's his his effect company. Because they just sat down one day and said we should make a pedal because we like these sounds. And so yeah, that's what they did. And yeah, it looks like they've really nicely branded it this time round, so it's kind of got the new album style branding. Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater posted today on Facebook actually saying how much he really liked the new Biffy Clyro album. So that stuck out to me, that someone's actually gone out of their way to say, hey, this is cool. So I need to find some time to listen to that album. Yeah, there's that video actually that I was saying about. And yeah, it sounds huge. Although the way that Simon from Biffy Clyro tends to get his guitar tone is he's got 3 guitar amps in the same room. One that's kind of clean, one that's got some drive, and one that's mental. And when he turns them all on, it is just crushingly loud. But it just sounds massive. You wouldn't believe one guitarist could make a sound that big. And yeah, that's how you do it. 1 amp? No, 3 amps. And that's how you get around studio magic as well. I'll just play them all. Yes. And because it's been Black Friday, Cyber Monday, there's not a huge amount of news, so it's finally time for Behringer Corner. Behringer Corner. So, it's a unimpressive looking keyboard, and you might think, well, what's the big deal? The new Behringer Swing controller seems rather expensive at €85 for a little keyboard. So, a few months ago, or maybe even longer, we talked about an issue where Behringer were outright ripping off Arturia's keyboard, the keystep. And so they have had a court battle, and Behringer have gone away, and they've made this, which is not quite the same as the Mini Fuse, and is now its own separate product that is not quite the same. If I remember rightly, this picture here, the one at the top was the original Swing, because the one at the bottom is the Arturia, and you can see how they are basically the same thing. Just, basically a palette swap. Whereas this is the new one where the controls are all in completely different places. It seems like there are actually different controls that do different things now. There's enough that they can now say this does a similar thing, but is not the same thing.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, people have been making keyboards and step sequencers and controllers for 40 years at this point. And so the fact that Behringer have come along and made one should be okay. But the fact that they've not now done this, which is just, oh look, Arturia's one, we got one of them. It's like, yeah, that was out of order. So Yeah, that's now a thing you can get. It's slightly cheaper than the Arturia one. I would still get the Arturia one because they are made out of just tanks. If your sequence, if your sequence on your actual synthesizer isn't working, you can actually use the Arturia key step as a giant hammer and batter it until it works, and it won't really damage the key step. They are tough little things. So yeah, I would still do that, but if you really, really, really have to save money, then the Behringer swing is now a thing. It's a
And
swing
it
thing.
rhymes.
So yeah, there we go. That was Behringer Corner, and that was the news.
Some very quick news.
Yeah, very brief news, unfortunately, but that's the week after Black Friday. A lot of companies, I think, are hesitating now.
Yeah, yeah. Everything's like everyone's spent all their money now.
Yeah. So over the next couple of weeks, I think we'll start to see more announcements, especially because NAMM isn't happening in January.
Hmm.
There's now no big reason for a lot of companies, I think, to be holding back on announcements. So
No, yeah. Well, it's now just trying to figure out how they can get the biggest kind of bang for their buck with announcing it, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely. And so I think strategically, a few companies at least will start to see little pepperings of announcements where they're trying not to step on each other's toes.
Yeah.
Because as great as NAMM is and the big thing, it's a double-edged sword because everybody announces their new products and half the companies get lost in the noise.
Yeah, well, I mean, the main thing is obviously it's being able to announce it to other people in the industry, isn't it? It's less of a kind of a retail thing and more of a kind of let's all get in a room together and do some business deals behind the scenes
Sure.
and selling to distributors and stuff. So it's like, hey, we're announcing this thing, and also here's all the top distributors in the room together. Like, how many do you want to order?
Yeah, that is definitely a thing. But yeah, I do wonder how many companies now are going, NAMM's in June, what do we do? What do we do?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's an interesting state of affairs at the moment in the industry. I think companies are starting to get a handle on the supply chain issues, and they're starting to know now that they have to order components 3 million years in advance.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, I mean, we were, but then there's this new variant that everyone's freaking out about, which I don't actually quite understand why, and that's causing there to be sort of bans on certain countries again, which means that we're going to get more issues with supply chains again. Um, the US are now talking about inflation, like the Fed have actually said they're going to stop referring to inflation as transitory. So, like all of these things will have a big issue on production. So, I think it's unfortunately at the moment anyway, we're back into an area of uncertainty again that we were starting to come out of in November. December started, and it's like, yeah, okay, let's go back into not knowing what the hell's going on anymore. So I think, and also then it's also December where a lot of stuff just stops happening. So
yeah,
I think it will be interesting to see what happens, but I could see shortages going up again, unfortunately.
we will see. I mean, yeah, things slow down in December for the Western world, but I don't know about the rest of the world. Because like Chinese New Year is that February, is that right?
Sometime around then, yeah.
Yeah, because that's one thing that was a big negative last year is that oh no, sorry, 2 years ago now. I'm really losing track. Where there were all the worries at that time about everything, and that it's pretty much standard that all the factories in China close for at least a week around that period. And the problem there was getting everything restarted. But I think, yeah, that's still 3 months away, and I'm not going to say things are going to be better, but I think now that the world in general has a little more experience, there's every chance that they'll get a bit of a better handle on it.
You'll hope so. I mean,
I'm staying positive.
yeah, I personally, I mean, this isn't really the platform for it. But my kind of viewpoint on it is that I think people are just scared because of how bad it was in 2020,
Yeah.
and the potential. But I actually think it looks pretty positive. Having something that's more infectious and way less deadly, which is what, fingers crossed, it's looking like it is. It's actually kind of what you want to turn this thing into just a flu, which it never was originally. We may end up getting it to be that, which would be fantastic.
It's a strange way to think about it, but I think it's quite fair.
Yeah, because viruses want to survive. That's their goal. They want to spread, and if they're too deadly, then they don't spread. So, hopefully, we'll start to see some good stuff. But yeah, it's just uncertainty. The whole world has just been living in uncertainty for 2 years now, and no one likes it, especially not the stock markets, which drive a lot of the supply chain things. So,
yeah, it'll be okay.
We'll all be fine.
Yeah,
we've got music at the end of the day.
yeah,
We'll go and buy some of these 35 grand headphones.
yeah.
I've got one for Christmas, by the way.
Yeah, I've just got myself a new headphone amp. I think I'd mentioned it on the podcast.
All right. I think you might have done.
Next week, I'll be releasing the full video on it, which I've now filmed, but just need to finish the edit. It's a balanced headphone amp, which has got special cable that goes to here, and it's weird. Everything sounds louder without being louder. Everything just sounds more present, and it's the most bizarre thing that when I turn the volume down, things jump out at me that haven't done before on this very same set of headphones.
That's really interesting because Linus was saying something similar about these like super high transparency or high resolution headphones.
Yeah.
Was that one of the things he's saying is like, oh, I don't need it as loud as I usually would, was one comment he made. And then secondly, the guy that was demoing it to him said, he had like a recording of like a coffee shop. It was like, it sounds more real than real life.
Yeah.
And whilst I wasn't listening to the headphones, I can kind of understand what that might sound like as a concept.
Yeah, it is a bizarre thing because the resolution of a really good headphone amp and good headphones, things stand out to you more, and that's what I've noticed. Even with the same headphones, same SonarWorks correction, same everything, same output, suddenly things are in the space they're supposed to be in a very real way, and it's bizarre. Absolutely bizarre, but it means that I pick up on things in mixes much quicker. It means that if I'm casually listening to music, I can hear extra elements that I didn't know were there before, and at the same volume level that I was listening to relatively before. It's the strangest thing.
What did for anyone who was able to catch you, what did people think of the all-day live sessions that we ran? I thought it was really cool. I think it was we've been planning to do those for a long time.
Yes,
obviously with everything we've just been talking about going on, it's something that's and also it's not just that, it's also a refocus of the studio away from needing to get people in the studio all the time, because Adam just genuinely doesn't have time to have people in the studio all the time anymore. It wouldn't be possible even if we could book it up.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what people thought of that. If they've got any feedback or tips or ideas. Was it too long? Should we have recorded earlier, later, in terms of like the amount of the session? Was the audio okay? If anyone's got any ideas on that, that'd be really useful. Because it's a really cool concept, and I think I thought it worked really well.
I really enjoyed it, and I thought it went quite well. It's like you say, something we've been meaning to do for a long time, and we've kind of finally pulled it all together. Typically last minute, as is our way, but that now definitely paves the way for doing other sessions like that, which is what I'm really excited about, because with the way that it was set up as well, I could quite easily that camera that was in the live room, I could move that to wherever. So if we had just like a single like acoustic singer-songwriter, I could move it to be much closer to them so we can actually see what's going on.
So one thing I was thinking of is, so the audio out from Reaper into the streaming computer, how does that work?
So that uses a plugin called Restream. So it goes over IP, over the network.
And what's being sent out? Is it what's being sent across?
So it's a stereo track that currently have set just before all the things like Sonar works. So everything that we hear, apart from any correction software, is then
Okay,
sent.
so on that basis, you can then within Reaper, how like is it set up to be able to not send something to that track?
It can be. It's not currently, but it can be.
Yeah, I think that would be useful. Just because I was thinking like things like some of I wasn't listening too intense, but it seemed like maybe some of the guys' lyrics maybe weren't exactly YouTube friendly sometimes.
It did kind of dawn on me halfway through that we had a very kind of proper old school punk band, and they were yeah.
I mean on the I mean I don't know much about them, and obviously bands that we record in the studio aren't in any way affiliated to us.
No,
they're just paying clients. Like I read up online, because they've been around for like since the 80s or something, haven't they?
I think so. Yeah, they were what you'd call a proper punk band.
Yeah, well, I think at one point they referred to as a skinhead punk band, and I was like I'm not too sure exactly what that means. So it could be quite useful to be able to maybe for us to be able to say just not stream the vocals, but stream everything else. Or even if a band didn't want us to for some reason. Like I was thinking, it could be cool. Like we've got someone in the studio doing like an audiobook reading. Streaming some of that might be cool, but she definitely wouldn't want any of the audio going through. But if there was other parts, maybe not that session in particular, but do you know what I mean? There's some bits where it might be cool to stream parts of it, but cut out certain parts of the audio so that we can be. I mean, it might even be just for licensing reasons as well. Like I don't know. If we had someone in coming and doing backing tracks, just don't send the backing tracks out and just send out the vocal. We probably won't get copyright strikes for that then, and things like that.
Yeah, but then we'd get so many people in chat going, "Where's the music?"
Yeah, we just and just have an overlay for it.
Yeah, maybe.
For that sort of stuff. Like you can just have, if there is something we're cutting out for people that have just jumped in, just have a thing in OBS that we can set before the stream or whatever, and it's just a matter of thing, a little banner saying, "Yes, we know, like, not streaming vocals for licensing reasons or whatever."
Yeah.
I mean, literally, I know it's bizarre, but literally, that video of Linus's had exactly that. When he was listening back to the music, they didn't want to play the tracks, so they just had up on screen. They play some different music and said, "This is not what he's listening to." Like, have a similar thing.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, years ago, I used to do, and still can technically do, a thing where the listeners to the headphone mixes can actually control their own headphone mix.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember me doing that with remote control by browsers, what I could do with that is I could have one dedicated, instead of going to a headphone amp, go out via IP, via the network to the stream.
Mm-hmm.
And that way we have a separate control on that from what I hear through the monitors.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, anything like that is completely possible. So yeah, that could be really interesting. I mean, we could even make it dangerous and expose it to like Twitch plays the audio.
Yeah. That would be cool.
Every 5 minutes, let somebody else have control of the volume knobs and just watch the chaos.
Okay, right. This has to happen now. We have to, at some point, have a YouTube mixes my track.
Oh, God. That just sounds like hell on earth.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to be good. It's like when you have like Twitch plays Mario or whatever. Like they don't get past the first level.
Maybe, if I sit on my hands and have somebody else remotely mix the song and just talk them through it, like keep talking and nobody explodes kind of thing.
Yeah, like you could, yeah, exactly that. Because you could say, look, I think this is what we should increase now. Like we need less bass, so then everyone in chat is going to be like, more bass, more bass. Yeah. That could be really fun because you might have to because you couldn't have everything set to be controlled via the MIDI thing, but if you had like 4 inputs or whatever that you could just change with a button, you could maybe select the track or select something, and then it's on their control for so long. So it's like, okay, you can control the snare for the next 5 minutes, and then after that it's locked in. Yeah. And whatever the chat decides after 5 minutes, it's done.
Oh God. That just sounds like chaos.
I know. That's brilliant.
Marty's saying, are we still streaming to YouTube and Twitch with the live studio sessions? Didn't last weekend. What I'm really hoping for is for Twitch to allow 4K streaming, because currently that's not a thing. And I've been streaming from the studio in 4K because we have the 4K cameras and the 4K screen. It makes sense for me to stream in 4K because we have the bandwidth, and when it's not live anymore, you've got all the details so you can see exactly what's happening. But yeah, unfortunately, right now Twitch, it doesn't allow that. We try and stream and it just kind of doesn't.
Does Restream not allow you to change it for one of the platforms?
No, because that would require them to actually do work.
Right.
Yeah, Restream is just a repeater service in that context, which is fine, I guess. It's just a thing that, that would require some processing on their part, so they would probably want to charge more money because companies, that's what they do. But yeah, let's see what other questions. Bommel says, have you seen the merging audio box that lets you install SonarWorks on it? Oh, the merging Anubis. Yeah, so there's an audio interface from Merging, who are one of the like ultra high end companies, like ultra high end, where you can have SonarWorks actually running on the interface, which is very clever, and I've seen it, and no, I can't afford one ever, because that's just crazy. I'll just flick over to the screen so you can see it's, very pretty, massive touch screen, and where did I see it? Further down. Yeah, you can actually put SonarWorks just embedded on the interface. Wow. But yeah, the prices on them are just... They don't even put the prices on the website. It's just contact a dealer. It's that kind of that kind of company. How much does it cost if you have to ask? Yeah. So yeah, no, I'm good. But yes, I did see it and it was quite cool. Let's have a look. I did see some other questions. Chris did say, I think a studio session with a single musician would be interesting to see how bedroom guitarist would work with an engineer. Yeah. I mean, usually in my experience, they love it because they don't have to push all the buttons. They just sit there and do their thing. Danny says, was it on purpose that we didn't get to see some of the mixing decisions on the Reaper screen? No, that was just me trying to get as much of the band on screen as possible, and especially because I was doing my own switching. It can make things a bit tricky. But yeah, I did try wherever possible to show mixing, but yeah, there's only so much I could do, because if I wanted to show the band in the corner of the screen instead of me, I would have had to set up yet another scene in OBS, which is the kind of thing that in future I will do those kind of things, but didn't have that ready for this particular stream. So I've got a stream deck in there now, so I'll be able to have a row at the bottom of like, here's a row of scenes that have got different cameras in the corner. Here's a row of scenes that have got the camera right in the thing. So yeah, in the future, that's the kind of thing that I will be intending to do. Yeah. Andre said, interesting cable management for the drums. Well, that's just because I had an 8-channel snake that I wanted to run, but it was about 30 meters long and I only needed about 5 meters of it, but it did the job that I wanted, because otherwise I would have just had to run long cables all around the kit, and it gets spaghetti. So yeah, I just don't want spaghetti if I can help it. But yeah,
Just found a link to sending multi-bitrate resolutions using multi-RTMP plugin for OBS.
All right. Well, maybe
worth looking at. It looks fairly straightforward whether the computer will be able to cope with it or not. but even if you sent like a 720p stream to some of the other platforms, so then
Yeah,
it's got something on it.
it's not a bad idea actually.
So have a look at that.
I will check that out because that's something. Yeah, I might in future then send the 4K stream direct to YouTube and then send the 1080 out to restream to the other platforms.
Yeah, that sounds like a cool idea.
Yeah, good idea because I know that the studio computer can handle it. I've put a Quadro graphics card in the stream machine. If it can't handle it, there's something's wrong.
Because it's not doing anything else, is it? It's not like it is trying to game as well. It's just putting that stream out. So
yeah, I mean it is also putting the multi-view on 2 different screens.
okay,
It's got
okay, it's doing stuff. Yeah,
and capturing 5 different cameras and a 4K.
all right.
It's coping with it though. It's doing okay,
Mm-hmm.
as far as I know. Andre says there's a pan tilt zoom camera an option for the band recording room. No, because they cost a lot. I'd love to do that, but I've done my research into PTZ cameras, and they're either really low quality or they're so expensive it's criminal. So for now, the answer is no. But if the market suddenly has an option on there which is affordable and looks good and moves, yes, I will absolutely do that. But for now, that's unfortunately not something that exists in a reasonable price bracket. Lou says just bought the Audio Essentials course. Oh, thank you very much. I hope you really get something out of it. That's the one where it's talking about all the different EQ types and the compression types and the delay and reverb types. Yeah. Oh, Marty says, yeah, also PTZs create noise. That's fair, but by the same token, they don't necessarily make that much noise depending compared to like either a smashing, crashing band or whether we've not got the red button on as the camera moves. That's something I would have to be aware of course, but I don't so much care about cameras making noise moving if the record button isn't on. I would just have to be aware that once we hit record, no touchy camera. Yes. Oh, yeah. Dean says I'm multitasking as I was doing it. Yes, thank you very much. It's it's a trick. It's a real trick. Moving your own camera setup whilst mixing, whilst talking to a band. But it's only one extra level up from what I'm used to, which is dealing with the band whilst tracking, whilst running around like an idiot. May as well run the cameras as well, you know.
Yeah.
And the band were gracious enough to make the tea and coffee most of the time, which is the other thing that I would usually be doing whilst tracking, whilst mixing. So
yeah, I mean, in all honesty, if you're paying for someone to record your tracks, I would definitely much rather they focus on doing that than making tea and coffee.
yes, absolutely.
It's quite an expensive coffee otherwise.
Yeah, it's quite true. But yes, that it was quite a thing. But yeah, I didn't even say at the start of the stream why I had a busy week. 2 of the days of that week were that. And I kind of, those days went by in a flash. Mm-hmm. And the guys got back to me earlier today, actually, said they loved the sound of what we'd done. They just wanted things like the guitar solos to come up a bit, so I've already done that, done the revisions, and sent them over. So, yeah, job done.
Cool.
Yeah. Socializing professionally with the clients is quite important, of course. As Marty says, that, being good with people definitely helps, because I definitely remember when I first started studio stuff, I wasn't quite as good with people. And that's putting it mildly, I'm sure.
I wouldn't say putting it mildly, because I'm laughing because people is a very broad term, and there are lots of different types of people.
I don't think I was bad with people. I just didn't have that social skill.
No, and because that's what I mean. Like, dealing with people in that environment is a very different skill. It's almost like being a teacher, but not quite, because you're the authority figure, but also you're there to serve them. You need to get them to do what you want, yet also allow them to be creative. There's a very nuanced relationship you're having to build in a very short period of time.
Yes, very much so. And also the dynamic of quite often we would have, let's say we had a singer in that would come in with their family or their partner or someone like that, and then you've got a double dynamic you've got to work with. Yeah, where you've got to placate the family whilst also getting the best out of the singer, whilst also getting them to relax, whilst also
Yeah,
doing the technical things.
we've had plenty of people that have come in with their kids because they're like, my kid's the best singer in the world. And then they're sat there in the vocal booth, or stood in the vocal booth recording whilst the parents are in the control room with you going, isn't she the best you've ever heard? And you're having to give advice on like how to start a career in music. And you're like, I don't know.
Oh, so many times we have young bands where we'd record something like an EP, they'd be really happy with it, and they're like, all right, now who do we give it to? And I'm like, you guys, you've not even thought about this? Right, well, here are your options. None. not in so many terms. But yeah, we definitely had lots of young bands who were like, we want to make it. And then one or two of them have genuinely kind of made it. There's a band, Dirty Laces, who are really doing quite well right now.
Cool.
There's Proletariat making a big comeback. So there's a couple of bands who've been in who are doing all right. Dirty Laces recently have been recording at places like Par Street Studios. And I think I just saw an Abbey Road session. Those guys are really starting to get some traction.
Cool.
But yeah, they took all the advice that we gave them and did something with it, which is the most important thing. And yeah, they now put on a really good show. They play regularly. They get in front of the right people. They market themselves well. They do all the things that are not the playing and recording side.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, Marty's quite right. Don't bring your entourage to a music studio. They'll only slow things down. Well, that's another thing is tactically ignoring the entourage.
Yeah.
Just smile and nod and say, yeah, he's doing great. He's doing great. Do it one more time, buddy. Yeah, it's funny, but oh boy. Any more questions to round us out, or is that everybody satisfied for the week? Hadley Scott McIntyre says, remember Winamp back in the 90s? Buddy used to record with it, save the files, and open in another app. Wow. Oh, wow. I at least had the decency to use Windows voice recorder. Speed it up, slow it down, reverse it.
Wasn't there like a Winamp Pro or something?
I think if there was, that would have been in the AOL era.
Winamp Pro. Only things coming up are like Winamp Pro Crack.
Oh, in which that tells us that existed.
Yeah. I feel like there was a Winamp Pro. Can't remember what it did though. Extended edition of the popular audio file player.
I don't know. All right, one from Van Dien. What would something like the Omni channel, which would be the Waves Sheps Omni channel, bring me over Reaper/KVR/Dead Duck? Plus, don't know Dead Duck. Plus any individual plugins. It's more of a speed workflow thing when you've got a channel strip plugin that's got everything in, like compression, EQ, and everything inbuilt. Workflows for guys like me who quite often want to do everything go, and want everything in one window where you're not having to flick between 9 different windows, because on a quite complex, say, vocal chain, you might have 2 compressors, an EQ before the compressor or maybe after, depending on what it's doing, a de-esser in a certain place, you might have a delay or a reverb, although I always have them on sends personally because I'm a bit of an old school analog style mind. I do find, speed is the main thing, and Andrew Sheps has his way of working, which is involving certain sounds, usually like a Neve style everything, because that's his thing, and he can just pull that up and go, I need a bit of this, bit of that, into this, click, 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 sounds good, moving on. And that's why a guy like that can do several songs worth of Grammy-winning mixes in a day, because he can just go, right, here's all the tracks. this one needs this one needs this one needs this, and just drop omni-channel on everything, and then just listen and go, bit this, bit that, bit that, bit that, bit that, bit that, click, click. Job done. Because he knows what sounds he likes, he knows what buttons to tick that will go, this bit I need to go to here, go to here. I think he's very visually minded, which is something that I am as well. Something I've always liked about the way that Andy Sheps works is that he's very... he's actually a really nice, really gentle, affable British guy. And he looks like kind of Jewish Father Christmas, to coin a phrase, meaning no offense to anybody. He's got this big, white, curly hair and massive beard. He just looks like no one else. You look at him and you know it's him. And he doesn't care. He's like, this is how I look. And he gets in front of speakers or on headphones and pulls up plugins and goes, this is the sound I like. This is what we're going to do. There you go. And pretty much every band goes, that's amazing. Thank you, Mr. Sheps. Let's get a Grammy. Yeah, something like that or a channel strip is just, it's a time saver. I use Slate's Virtual Mix Rack a lot because it's kind of an in-between. Rather than having an individual plugin, I've got one place where I can just go, I need this, slap, 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 slap. And because it's in one window, it's nice and clean in Reaper. It's nice and clean to open that channel's processing, and it all comes up for me in one window at one time. But it's all in the order that I chose with the little bits that I chose. So it's technically individual plugins, but it's presented in a way like channel strips are. Yeah. All right, last one. Harry says, Adam, your opinion about baby audio plugins. I don't have them, and I don't know much about them, but people I know and respect say they're great. And they sound good to me, so yeah, why not? I've heard good things, I've not heard bad things. I've not had chance to play with their stuff, but yeah, the Smooth Operator is a lot like Oak Sound Soothe, which I use a lot, but way cheaper. So way cheaper is good for most people. So go do that.
Winamp Pro was a thing, and now I found the images of it. It is what I thought it was. It was very similar. Oh God, let's not go back to that program, that website.
Oh dear.
Just some malware pop up.
Oh.
I was just on I'll finish it. I allowed Winamp to look a bit like iTunes does now. So it was like a full screen application, and the bit that I was just thinking about is what I was just Googling, and it connected to, do you remember Grace Note CD DB?
I do. iTunes still uses it.
Yeah, does it?
It does.
Yeah. So it connected to that. So you used to be able to get all of your artwork for all of your albums. So in the early 2000s, being able to have the CD covers of your MP3s that you downloaded from Napster was
deal.
like very cool. And it had a cool visualizer. But yeah, the best thing for me was it had a proper bar, and when I was at uni, it would look for stuff on the network as well, so that you could actually have everyone else's music in the house on your Winamp as well.
Ooh, very clever.
It was very cool. But yeah, don't go to what was the old GraceNote website, because my antivirus did not like that.
That's bizarre that a website would still flag an antivirus, but there you go. Dangerous times.
Yeah. Let's see what it did. Cool.
But yeah, fascinating. So yeah, Winamp is not dead after all. But yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in. It's been a lot of fun. And I will not be broadcasting this weekend because, as Marty asked before, I did have a band booked in, not for this weekend, but for the one afterwards. And that, unfortunately, has been moved to January, but that will be coming. So we will have another band in a couple of months. Hopefully we'll have someone else in before then, but Christmas is on the way, so we'll see. And yes, in the meantime, we have lots to do. I may even broadcast from the studio during just a regular day in the life, something that Chris recommended to me a while back, because I've got lots that I need to do to tie up lots of videos. So I might try and broadcast that so you guys can see. It's the less glamorous side of things, of course, but
Yeah, no, I think it's a good idea.
yeah. But then I'll need to make sure I've got a spare camera to do that with, so that you can see me doing the thing that I do whilst not being on that camera. Maybe, I don't know.
But can you not use? I mean, you've got some other little cameras, but could you not output? It's not going to be 4K. But you could output like from the 5D or the 7D,
Right.
couldn't you?
Technically, maybe.
I think with the Magic Lens and stuff, you can have the clean output. It'd probably only be 1080i or something, but
we've got the cameras for it. It's just a case of wiring it all up, but it can be done. But yeah, we'll see. So, first, I think I'll try and actually like GoPro style film a day in the life of, because that's something I can just do, and then if that's successful, then do it live.
Cool, sounds good.
Yes, lots to
I'm
do.
going to go into the dark.
I'm going to answer all this lot.
But
that since we started the podcast. Wow. But yeah, thank you everybody, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
boy.
Hey everyone, that might be the end of the video, but if you fancy carrying on this conversation, we have a Discord server, link is in the description. We're also on Patreon, which is something you can really help us with. We also are on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at Hop Hole Studios. See you there.